All right, we have the example that y equals x squared plus 5x plus 6. And we want to find the x values of the y-intercept. That is, find the values of x when y equals 0. So we could do this by hand and we can see how it might factor out. But let's go ahead and use Excel spreadsheet to help us out. So this is Excel spreadsheet example 1.2. And what we want to be able to do here is to set up a template where we can find where we can graph out a quadratic function as well as find the important parts of that. So we're going to start by looking at the value of x. So let's just put in here -10, -9, and have that value go from -10 just up to 20. So we have our x values going from -10 to 20. Now our y value, we want to be inserted in this equation right here where y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where we reference not the number of a or b or c, but the actual parameters up here. So for example, in this example we had a is 1, b is 5, and c is 6. So let's just insert those values there, 1, 5, and 6. And now let's go ahead and insert what the function for y is. So y is equal to a, so we're going to grab this a here, we're going to anchor that, times x squared plus 5, no, not 5, that's my mistake, plus the cell b, let's anchor that, times x, plus the cell c, and we'll anchor that. And we hit enter. And so that when x is -10, the value takes on 56. Now one thing to note here is the reason why we anchor is we always want to draw upon the cells A, B, and C. If we don't, when we copy paste, it's going to take the relative position, which won't always capture those exact cells. So now I have that, I'm going to copy and paste that down. And with this value of y, I can insert in a line chart to see what that function looks like. I'm going to select the data. I'm going to edit the x values to go from -10 to 20, because right now it's going from 1 to 31. Click enter. And there we go. So that's what the graph actually looks like. Now we want to find some important key points of this graph. We'll move that graph up here just a little. The first key point is the x-coordinate of the vertex. That is the point where we get the minimum or the lowest point on this graph, or if it was a frowny face, the highest point. So the equation for that is equal to -b divided by 2a. So we'll insert that equation in. This is equal to -b divided by, now we want the whole thing divided by 2a, so I'm going to use parentheses, 2 times a. So I have -b divided by 2 times a. I click enter, so the value when x is -2.5, that's this point here, or right about here, that we reach the minimum of this graph. Now to find one root equation, so normally we factor out, but here we're going to insert in the quadratic formula, which is -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So we'll have plus on the top and minus on the bottom. So this is equal to -b, and I'm going to anchor these, plus the square root in parentheses b squared minus 4 times a times c. Now I want this whole thing divided by 2a, so I'm going to make sure that I have this whole thing in parentheses divided by, and again in parentheses, 2 times a, and we'll anchor that. And so one of the roots is -2. Now I'm going to copy and paste that down, and notice that I get 0. And that's mostly because when I look at this, it's drawing upon this cell here, this purple cell. And that's because I never anchored B6. So I want to come in and anchor and make sure that this is going to be B5, because it's minus 4AC. And I should get the exact same answer, because this should be the exact same equation. Alright, and I'll anchor this one up here as well. And there we go. But this one's the square root, or -b minus the square root. So I come up here, I make that minus the square root, and now I get the 2 roots that I had if I would have factored it. Now once I have this template here, I can change these values quite quickly. -1, if I make that a negative, now the roots are -1 and 7, or -1 and 6. And so just like that, I can change the graph. I can get all the important key points of this graph simply by setting up this template right the first time.